Yeah, so I just got back. It was just luck this morning. I was browsing Facebook and I saw one friend share her. We call it puja, no? The goddess thing, the pictures that you saw. And so I saw her pictures at the puja, and I was like, oh wait, oh yeah, my friend should be. It's a Sunday. Let me ask her if she's going. So 11 in the morning, I message her, and I'm like, are you planning to go somewhere today? She's like, oh, we're already on the way. You should have told me. I'd have picked you up. And I said, well, I can join you. I'll take a cab. Where are you going? Where are you next? So where are you having lunch? So I just took a cab, joined her for lunch. And after that, all the pictures, so there's the first one, there's no pictures over there because we were just too busy. So amazing. So yeah, that's what my whole afternoon was like. So what does your education tell you, Caruso, so far? You know quite a lot.
About
Hi, Vindhya Nagratna. Hi.
about
Yeah, yeah.
about your experience with the,
About the not about my experience, but about the God is the feminine, the divine feminine. Because
oh
you're
well.
more into Advaita. So
In
how do
Italy,
you?
we have a different religion culture
Mhm.
compared to India, and basically when we talk about um, um, feminine, we talking about Jesus' mother.
Yeah.
That's the, I believe, the only one icons, the only one I would say in person, but we don't not even know if it was true that they were in person or it's just a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it in somehow it doesn't matter. I mean, it's like a might. You say meet or might?
My
Might. When you recount something, when you tell something,
recall. Yeah.
a story, and but it brings something very important in the population so that they can cultivate a culture or build
Mm.
values on that. And yeah, that sometimes I see religion like this, like more a building of a culture, a series of advices that someone
Yeah.
said, that someone give. But I believe it's the only one figure, the Jesus Mother, that we have in Italy now. And there are lots of people are praying just in particular that we call it Mariani because it's Maria,
Mm.
huh? The name. So yeah, but we don't have this concept as you have in India. I mean, dividing everything with gods and goddess, and we really don't have that. And I'm curious to see, and I'm curious to hear from you what you think about it.
Well, we've already discussed this in the past that um, we see everything, even like there's the Advaitic principle, of course, but then, everything, even when we look at deities themselves, we project them as the Advaitic principle in the end. So they can boil down in some of these streams, they can come down to this whole the good and bad and everything. But ultimately, underneath everything, I think especially in the tantric cultures, you will find that approach, that everything is God, absolutely everything is this particular God, because the the core underlying principle is Advaitic, but then you eventually your goal is to merge with the divinity, and then nothing else exists. Ultimately, that's the ultimate goal of every devotee, you know So it's the same with the goddess as well. Like those who pray to Vishnu believe that Vishnu is the source of all creation. Those who pray to Shiva believe he is the source of all creation. So it's the goddess, she is the source of all creation. She is the mother that birthed Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, right? And but yeah, I mean, personally, of course, I relate to her the most somehow. And, you know, even for our family, the family goddess is actually Kali. You can see her there now.
Oh,
Got her framed. So, so yeah, so, uh, and it's so amazing when you really connect with them, right? Uh, Especially Kali. The first time I really deeply connected with her, I could feel that I was awestruck by fear. It's a very difficult thing to describe. You are in awe, you know, and you're afraid, but you're like, you're in awe and you're afraid, you know, not like uh, a powerless fear. I don't know how to describe it. So, you know, it's like when you really connect with her, she's so ferocious, she's so you know, powerful. It inspires fear. Yeah, that's the word I used actually the first time I spoke about it. It
but
inspires fear.
tell me something more so that I can understand better, and also people from Europe can understand better.
Hmm.
Um, from what I know, Kali is with lots of hands, and
Hmm.
also she is the goddess of quote unquote killing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that is down in Southeast Asia, in Philippines, martial art that it's called Kali. So and he's using knives and using, you know, it's really aggressive. And so
Wow.
this Kali to me it means something like war, like fight,
Violence.
like violence, like killing. Yeah. And now you were saying something about fear, about that kind of feeling inside. So tell me more about this, because in your, we call it pantheon, in your so many divinities that you have in India, you divide them and you specialize them. This is the god for this is the god for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was pretty sure that Kali was about this, about fighting, and about. So tell
Yeah.
me more, teach me more about this.
Well, I guess you can call these the shadow gods or goddesses, you know. We are all very happy to celebrate joy and, you know, ecstasy and kindness and everything. um, but the thing is, if you want to be genuinely kind, as opposed to kind out of fear, you know what I mean? Most of the people that you see that are good people are not good because they are genuinely awesome and in their power. They're good because they're afraid to be bad.
Hmm.
And that kind of good is actually very useless. Like if I am nice to you because I'm afraid of what you will think of me, then sooner or later you're going to find our relationship very insipid and you'll be like, yeah, okay, she's always nice, but it's still leaving a void in my heart.
Hmm.
You know, whereas if I'm kind because it's who I am, then it's very different. But I cannot be very kind unless I have integrated the negative into myself. So Kali, and the reason why she inspires fear is because if you're going to wield that level of power, of course it's scary. And when you know, witness for the first time power that at a level that you have never handled before, it's extremely scary. But then, of course, especially when you're looking at her, it's also so safe. You know, I mean, you feel that trust that it's okay, you know, she won't let you misuse it. So that's why the inspiring of fear and the skulls and the violence actually
It's
is
creepy.
very, it used to be creepy for me until 3-4 days ago. I'm sure I may have heard this theoretically, but it came very personally to me last week, I think less than 10 days ago, within the last weekish. I was meditating, and actually it may have been during the group meditation I did for my people. You know, I kind of saw her and I saw these skulls around her neck, and it just struck me. I was like, yeah, there was a very personal vision I had had actually just before that. And that's when it struck me. I was like, oh my God, these skulls are representative of the egos that she's destroyed, of the heads. The head is representative of the ego, you know, your identity. So every head around her neck is the heads of the identities she has destroyed. So those are the people that are liberated from their, you know, sense of separation from the universe. So we can look at it as a very violent thing. Of course, for the ego, it is a great deal of violence, and it is extremely scary, which is why she's the dark one, right? It doesn't get darker than the void itself if you let it consume you. So yeah, that's why she is the goddess of violence, because it is a very violent act. It's as good as dying, no? I mean, essentially, that's not very different from suicide. Just that there you're losing the body as well.
Yeah.
Here you're not.
You're losing your identity, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand this kind of loss that you feel inside.
Yeah.
And can you tell me something about the lots of hands? Because I've seen
Yes.
other gods, they have lots of hands in different mudra. Yeah, in different
Yeah.
mudras as well, but also male. Sometimes they are represented with different hands. What is that?
The hands are action, right? The various things that you do. I'm sure we can draw Caruso with so many hands as well. There's the cooking Caruso, you know, with the ladle, and there's the hypnotic Caruso. He will have a mudra of healing, you know. And then you can have me with one hand holding the brush and the palette, and the other one holding the ladle and the bowl, you know, and then something, blah, blah, so many. So it's just the, you know, the various roles that they play, and they can depict the same god or goddess with different number of hands depending on what aspect of them that they are projecting, you know, like Natya Ganesha, the dancing one, for example, will be holding very different things, and the one that you're praying to, depending on again which side his trunk is bending, it represents different things. So that's all. It's just representing, you know, the actions that they take, because we are multifaceted people, and of course then our gods are far more multifaceted.
This is so interesting because we were doing I had a meeting with my group, and they had to show me something that they learn in life. Yeah? So, you know, when you say to someone, those are my 2 or 3 lessons that I learned in life, you become basically multidimensional. You understand, you understand you're not just in one path. You see different stuff. Yeah. So you remind me this about the hands. And we did this exercise, but the core is you are made of the action that you do. You are made of the things that you do. So you are made because you do something, you express yourself, you experience. But doing something also, it means cutting, losing. You were referring about losing identity, yeah. But it's tricky because we think, what do you want to do in life? I want to be an engineer. Perfect. That in that moment that you are engineering, you're not doing cooking or traveling or in that moment you choose this because you lose the other ones of the opportunity. So there is in the same time multidimensional path that we live in, but one per time. So we're cutting, and also deciding. It means cutting out. I decide what kind of ice cream I want. It depends. I want this, not the other one, and not the other one. You see my jest. It means put it apart. Okay, so you put it in a different place, and it's so intriguing. This
fascinating that you say that. Yeah,
because
I have never thought of it like that. Yeah,
are made, or quote unquote made, to take, but also to do something.
yeah,
You do something with your hands. So
yeah,
and yeah, the thing that you do are your manifestation.
yeah,
In somehow, and every time that you describe yourself, basically you describing an action.
yeah. I kind of see that a little differently, although I love what you have said as well. I see it as the shifting from the doing to the being. And of course, until you reach that shift, what you've said is incredibly accurate. And I'm sure even when you're shifting, it's not like an on and off switch. There's times when you're busy being, and there's times you're busy doing. So I think as long as the doing is happening, you need to be doing the way you've talked, chop off the stuff that's not good for you. But I think for me, the ultimate goal is to keep shifting everything into the being, because when you shift to being, then actions happen by themselves. So then there's no choosing anymore. It just dissolves.
It makes sense, but let's play with words.
Yeah.
Let's play with words now.
Yeah.
Could be, this is a question for you. Could that be that being, it's another way to do? Because when you say being, what do you do inside? You need to do something. In this level of duality, of virtuality, we talked a lot about this, okay? Duality, yeah. We need to do something. Even for being. And you were also referring to busy doing, busy being. It triggers me, when you are in the flow state.
Yeah.
You're basically not doing, you're losing everything. You are integrated with what you're doing, and you manifest yourself. You cannot understand what's the beginning and what's the end. Are you doing because you are? Are you doing because you are, or you are? You are in, how you say, you are being.
You exist because you're doing.
You exist because you're doing. It's an integration, and all of a sudden you try to define that, and every time that you're trying to define something, you lose the other ones, aspects of concept. A couple of days ago, I was saying, you cannot define consciousness because you're using defined word to define something that is not definable.
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
Yeah.
My question for you, and sorry because I was going over, it's, don't you think that being, it's another form of doing, just playing with words?
Yeah, I think it's like black and white, no? So of course, but the difference is that the doing, like if you are choosing the actions from the space of merely the limited conscious mind, then I think you are limiting the potential of what is possible as well. And also not just that. I mean, people assume that to mean that for example, if I'm making a video for YouTube, in the doing state, then I will get maybe 100 likes. And if I'm doing it in the being state, I'll get 1,000. That isn't always how it works. And maybe you will get 15 likes in this case, you never know. But the thing is, ultimately the consequences, when one thing leads to another and to another and to another, eventually when it comes back to you in some way, it's going to affect you a lot less. It's going to touch you a lot less because the doer wasn't there. So the person to take the fruits of your actions also isn't there anymore. So from that perspective, it's a lot more liberating. That's one aspect on the personal level. But on the collective level, I feel that everyone who's busy doing from the conscious mind, very harsh words, but they're essentially cancer. What is cancer? Cancer is that one cell in your body that has decided it's not going to be part of the collective. It will do what it wants. So there's no alignment with the rest, with the collective. And so it has now started doing something that is completely, it's like it's destroying the organism, which is you. We've completely forgotten that we are also part of an organism. We are not just like these individual things. We're part of the collective whole, and everyone is just turned cancerous because everybody is just doing what they want to do rather than functioning as the collective. So when you're in the being state, the actions are still there, but you're functioning as the collective body rather than the individual cancerous cell.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Ashwita, because in the meantime that you are yourself, you acting. It's a doing. I mean, we try to define something so complicated, and you have tons of years and centuries of philosophy trying to explain those concepts. Yeah. Yeah, but I was saying this because a couple of weeks ago, maybe, we were talking about something that in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it's called nominalization. So anytime that you talk about love, respect, honesty, we believe we understand each other, but those words are called nominalization. That means you transform an action in a name. Nominalization, action transformed in a name. So anytime that we say, I believe in love, when you try to make sure that the other people understand, you go to the level of doing. So what should I do to love someone? What are the actions that manifest that thing that I call love? That's why I was asking to you. I was really curious at your perspective. It strike me. I mean, it's cool. And also it's difficult because anytime we talk about concept, we need to go in somehow to the black or white. Otherwise you black and white, they collapse together, they integrate, you don't see colors. Basically colors disappear. And you have a long tradition in India about those people who transcend. I don't like this term because I believe in, where you want to go. If you transcend, you're not here. And they say when you transcend, then they quote unquote come back, and then they don't have word to express where they were or who they were. But usually they say, I understand the wholeness, the one, we are just one. and it's really, really difficult. And you were talking about this lady, this goddess Kali, yeah, and you try to define what she does, and you see you cut something out, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a representation of something, not the wholeness. It's really it's really tricky, because in the first place you said, I'm not trying to say you were wrong,
Yeah,
you
yeah, and
are
I'm trying
really,
to
really
understand.
clever. You were saying someone believes in this god, someone believes in the other god, and when you believe in one god, you try to understand the complete, the one inside of only one god, and you choose between different representation of consciousness, one representation, and you try to find the only the wholeness inside one god only. So it's strange, you see.
No,
We try to,
it's not like that actually. Very fascinating, because that's not at all how we look at it. It's not like we seek the wholeness within that. It's more like they're the gateway to the wholeness.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's not like,
So there's
you
something
know,
behind that god.
yeah, I mean, see, even if, like, for example, if you're crazy about Vishnu, there's this very popular chant, which is the thousand names of Vishnu. You know,
Hmm.
you have the same for the god, you have the same for Durga, you have the same for Shiva as well. The thousand names. And even there, you have a choice. Which one are you chanting? You know, like, are you chanting this Vishnu Sahasranam, or are you chanting that Vishnu Sahasranam? So even the thousand names, there's various versions of the thousand names. So I mean, our gods themselves have like so many names. You know for sure that there's no way you have any understanding of what the god is like. All you can do, so the objective is not to understand the god, but to surrender yourself and merge into the god, so that that's all you see everywhere.
Hmm.
Of course, there's the lower versions also. There's, you know, people will believe and relate to divinity or whatever it is at their level. So if they haven't evolved very much as souls, of course there's the lower versions of it, you know. So
we
there
still
they have all
we
these
still
superstitions and everything.
obviously we're still talking about believing in a god, not doing puja or praying to ask something. We
Yeah,
now
that
talking about,
happens. That happens a lot as well. I often say that God is, you know, a businessman in India more than anything else. You go break a coconut, you get what you want. So unfortunately, a lot of people do that.
mm,
Like there's a lot of people that will say, if you give me this, I'll go and shave off my head in a particular temple. That's very popular. So they're not going there for God. They're going there for a baby, or they're going there for a promotion or something. So
mm,
it is very transactional in India as well.
yeah, okay, okay. It's really a complex system, no?
Yeah.
And that's why maybe more often in those days we are talking about consciousness as the reunion, the integration of those characters, yeah,
Yeah.
because the pantheon, the lots of gods that you have, we see almost the same in the Greek culture,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of this. For example, Poseidone, he had the fork with the three, yeah,
The
like she,
trident.
yeah, exactly, like
Yeah.
Shiva does. Yeah. So, and tell me something about this Kali and the feminine situation. Do you have
Well,
something?
Kali is my favorite form of the goddess. Durga is the one that integrates all of them. But personally, I like Kali the most because she has rescued my mother, she has rescued my sister, she has rescued me. So it's very personal for all of us. Um, I'm sure it's kind of the case all over the world, but especially in India right now, I think for most women, it's, on a collective level, at some point in your life, you reach this point where you feel completely powerless and destroyed. And you don't know who to go to, where to turn to. And for all of us individually, through different sources, we just found Kali and just, we prayed to her in our own ways, in different ways. And it just helped us find ourselves. So, like I said, I think Kali is all about fear, right? It's the root chakra. So it's reconnecting with this basal fear, the insecurity of existing itself, because we've destroyed the feminine systematically over the years as a collective on the earth, right? So I think Kali is really the starting point for most people, because that's where you learn to reestablish yourself as a woman first. Like, I deserve to exist. And that's huge. So I think that's where it kind of begins. And then you move on to, softer versions of the goddess.
And do you think it's connected to the culture, this feminine way to pray this goddess? It's about the Indian culture, or do you think it's about also in general, worldwide, this way to treat the feminine, the
Yeah, I believe that, I think if anyone was genuinely non-judgmentally, non-egoistically looking at the human race as a species, of course, God would be feminine. Because if you look at the amount of pain a man will ever experience and the amount of pain a woman will ever experience, it is said that giving birth to a child is equal to breaking 100 bones. So who is stronger? And who among these is going to be God then? So my sister was reading some books for her daughter, and she was telling me that actually all the way from Indus Harappan civilization, even over there, it was like over there, we didn't even have male gods. It was like the goddesses and their counterparts, and their husbands. It was like that. And slowly, as it became more and more patriarchal, it became the gods and their wives. So otherwise, it was primarily 7 goddesses that were prayed to in those days, is what she was telling me. I don't know the details, but that's what it was like initially. It was just goddesses. So, of course, as it shifts, I think when we suppress the feminine, when we abuse the feminine more and more, then you need masculine gods, because then as a collective, you're seeking more protection, not compassion. So then, of course, you will all relate to a masculine god, because then you're like, oh, please help me, protect me, because women are weak themselves. So what's a goddess going to do for me?
I was searching in English, how do you say undefended?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one aspect of feminine, that kind of
Yeah.
I mean, but I want to give you my perspective on this, because I strongly believe that we have male and female already inside of us. Yeah, we should just integrate them. But
Yeah.
just little bit of concept that I realize, and also I studied in my work, and I can see in my clients every day. So first of all, let's say we don't confuse male and female with the male sex and female sex.
Masculine and feminine. Yeah.
We're talking about that, masculine and feminine. So the masculine part, it's the propulsion, it's the ahead. I go ahead. And I'm doing with the finger, like, you understand, I'm not talking about sex, but it's about going ahead.
Forward.
It's about looking forward. It's forward thinking. I'm ahead with my mind. I'm ahead. That doesn't mean better or worse. It's just
Yes.
this propositive way to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one step at the time. So I program my life. I'm forward thinking.
Yeah.
So I watch ahead. And I'm talking about lots of species in the animal kingdom. Yeah. You go and get something. You go and get something. The female part or feminine part, it's not much about ahead, but it's about around.
Yeah.
Around. So it's not about looking forward to get something, but it's about taking care, appreciating the value. Yeah, and that means you can do multiple tasking as Kali with different hands.
Yeah.
But also it means you are in the moment doing lots of stuff and taking care. You lose your identity. You don't need to go forward in time because you merge in what you're taking care of.
Right.
So female for me, it's about giving more than getting.
Yes. Yes.
If you think about, I'm a breath coach, I like breathing. Okay, so breathing as first lesson gives you this. Give us this. Anytime that you inhale, to have air inside of your lungs, you need to contract the diaphragm. So that means you're spending energy to have something. So the first step is giving. That's why when you say if will be one God, will be a female God, it makes sense because it's going to be a creation, and creation, it means giving, not taking. So, but when I hear debating people, I feel confused. Why? Because they try to say this is better than the other, or this should be more valuable. This one, it doesn't matter. No, I believe we have inside a male and a female part, masculine and female, feminine part, that we should integrate. But we cannot integrate them if we don't discover, if we don't comprehend those parts. And so you see this division that we see in our society. If you are a male, that means sex male.
Man.
The man, you do this. If you don't do this, you're not man enough.
Yeah.
But this is crazy. You see that it's not about the sex itself that you're born with. There are lots of women, they are really forward thinking. They can manage, they can be CEO of company, and if you talk with them, beside the sex organs that they have, they are much more male.
Men.
Men.
Yeah.
So you see, and it's the same the other way.
Even in astrology, we can look at husband-wife charts and make out who is the man.
Yeah, but you see, when you say, and I understand what you're saying, but if we are in a pub and we say who's the man, it's implying something that who's the owner of and that particular kind of thinking, we should put it aside because it's destroying the society. That's why I believe lots of women are really, really upset with men. and they try to divide. No, we are women, we can do whatever the man doing. It's not about being man or women. It's about
I think,
how you build your identity, and you get something because you give something. You need to look forward, otherwise you cannot program, but you need to take care about something that is around. You need to be outside of yourself. In English, you say out of your mind a little bit, just to check what's happening, but also you need to check inside. You need to be present. And I feel more and more, we were talking about this before, I feel more and more also in school, they try to divide and not integrate.
yeah.
And so that's what I have to bring on the table in this discussion. I mean, and there are lots of men, they do something that culturally would be left for women. For example, we have lots of chefs in kitchen, they cook.
Exactly. Yes.
They're not considered like gay or not men.
Yeah.
And so we should stop this. But it becomes even worse when I see feminists or people saying, yeah, but I have the right to go with someone that I want, even if it's male or female. There's a huge confusion. It's not about the
It's messed
sexuality.
up.
It's about
Yeah.
finding something inside that is working in that particular.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the women that lose out, right? It's the men and the women. But the problem is, now even a lot of the feminists that you see, they're essentially the men.
Yeah.
You know, they're the women that are functioning men, essentially. Because it's the masculine form to fight. The fighting is a role of the masculine. It's not of the feminine. The feminine surrenders, right? So that's the whole challenge over here, because the feminine has been sabotaged, it's been demeaned and defiled and suppressed and abused, you know, in the men and the women both. Men are not being allowed to be, you know, expressive, feeling and expressing their feminine selves, and women are absolutely not allowed to, you know, be and express their feminine selves.
Yes.
Women themselves will tell each other, oh, you're too thin, you're too fat, you know, just look at the fashion police. That's just women trashing other women. Like, what on earth, you know, is wrong with you? So, but the thing is, the feminine is not going to fight back. It's just going to allow you to destroy it. The women that decide, I've had enough of being a woman, it's too damaging to be a woman, I'd rather be a man, they're going to fight back and say, I deserve to exist. But the thing is that, again, they're doing it as men. They've forgotten entirely the nurturing, the, you know, nourishing part of themselves. You know, so
what I was trying to say, maybe, it's that integrating, it's the way opposite of competition. And we tend to compete too much. I mean, it's important to win instead of participate, instead of sharing,
even the competition is again a masculine trait.
Yeah. And look,
collaborative.
Look, if you see in a team of female, if you go there, they compete as like they want to see your blood. You see, they really compete they fight a lot. But I was talking about competing for competing. It's worthless. If we compete because we want to rise the level of society, is different. There's no winner or loser. We all win.
Yeah.
So it's about meritocracy. But you said right when you say that lots of men they cannot show the feelings, they cannot talk with children, they cannot caress them, otherwise they're not men. They should go in the field and fight. No, there's no black or white, there's a shade of gray. And yes, but feminine and masculine, they have connotation. They have, and I say to people, yeah, you want to be present in your life, but be present doesn't give you anything in the future. So you need to program, but also you need to appreciate. And this integration that you do, not disintegration attached.
Yeah.
This integration that you are trying to manifest, it's so difficult. It's so difficult because also when we speak each other, we tend to want the right. I'm right, you're wrong. And it's difficult. It's not sharing, it's not merging. And when you find someone that understands that part, that masculine part, that feminine part inside, and integrates those parts, it's huge. You see, for example, you have in India this tradition to do this, yeah. So this hand, it's basically attached to this part of the brain.
Yeah.
And this one, it's attached to the other part. This part, it's much more male oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And this part, it's much more female oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time that you say like this, you are basically integrating, crossing the line. It's kind of, I thank you to be both part.
Yeah.
And it's not a question, but it's a comment of Vaishali. I hope. It says it's been wrongly misinterpreted because in layman's language it is easy to refer. And we have this problem in Italian as well. I cannot translate it in English, but we have for everything, every name, male and female. For example, this pen is not.
So we have this in Hindi and we have this in most Indian languages as well.
Yeah, so this pen is not neutral. We don't have this pen is penna. That means a female part. Which is strange because a pen, it seems like something, much more, you see. But why it's called penna? Because before in the history was not done like this, but it was a feather of a bird. So you take a feather, you cut it, and then you can write. That's called penna, the feather. So you see, it's not about this. Sometimes we confuse because we don't know the history stuff. And so it's also good to say that when you use this, it gives you something, it releases something, so it's creating something. And it's good if it's feminine. But when we, at least in Italian, when we refer to group, when we say hi everybody, or you as general, it's always put in the male, in the male language. So, but I don't think it's a limit. No.
Yeah.
now they trying to adjust the language, so we, there are fluid gender, gays, lesbo, whatever you want, you name it.
I'm sure we'll come up with more options eventually.
Yeah, but it's not about language.
Yeah.
I believe we looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You know, but she says man as just man and woman as just woman, and it's like judging the book by its cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you say that name? Vaishali?
Vaishali.
Vaishali. Okay. Excuse me if I mispronounce it. It's
Yeah.
right. It's true. It's true. So this integration, do you think it's something that you find also in the different gods in India? Once you said to me, for every male god, we have the female goddess. Yeah?
Yes.
And if I'm not wrong, you said to me they kind of balance as couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, they balance themselves. They should balance.
Yeah, because it's not even like man and wife, not like that, right? Like Shiva represents destruction. So Brahma, for example, represents creation. What do you need for creation? Creation is impossible without knowledge, creativity, artistic capabilities. All of this is Saraswati. So it's like two sides of the same coin. You know, you've got creation and you've got creativity. And then you've got Vishnu, that is sustenance. Sustenance is impossible without prosperity, money, the resources, basically, abundance. So you've got sustenance and sustainability in a way. And then you've got the destruction. Destruction is impossible without power. So you've got Shiva, destruction, you've got Kali or Parvati, the power, force. So that's how it is. So, I mean, we look at it as masculine and feminine because I guess we don't know any better. And Buddhism actually has the opposite. What we consider Shiva, they actually consider the goddess, and what we consider the goddess, they consider the god. So it doesn't really matter. They're just labels.
Wow. I was thinking about this division. Usually we talk about the duality. I mean, that means to do.
Yeah.
We say due. That means
yeah.
duality is two. But in this first level, you have three.
Yeah.
So you have creation,
the Trinity. The Trinity.
Yeah, and we have it too.
Yeah, the Holy Trinity.
Father, Mother, and Son.
Holy Ghost. Yeah.
Okay.
Also the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, right?
Yeah. And we could say that we have this masculine, feminine, and the integration of both.
Yeah.
That it gives you who you really are. So you sustain those two integration. And yeah, but it makes sense. And then you attach three, and you have the goddess. They become six, and then you start to divide everything.
Yeah.
Also, you have so many animals. You have the monkey, the
elephant.
Ganesh, yeah, the elephant. You have
Yeah.
This is fascinating. Also, we don't know that much because also you have tons of gods. I believe also Indian people don't know everything about the culture. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not even just um specific gods, right? You've also got like, I mean, traditionally people used to live in houses, not apartments, right? In villages. So normally you would have your family temple, which is, you know, your ancestral divine energies. And then you've got the local village god that you pray to, which is the local energies that exist because they were tuned into these things, you know.
Mm.
So you used to normally pray to three gods on an individual level. You pray to the family god, you pray to the village god, and then you pray to what we call the Ishta Devata, which is your favorite god. Who do you connect with?
Mm.
Because I might connect with Kali because I need to work on my, you know, root chakra, but maybe another man feels more connected to Vishnu because he needs to work on his compassion, you know. So who are you? What is the void in your life that, you know, and which archetype fulfills that? So you naturally feel drawn, and I mean, astrologically it's very fascinating. I found this even before I learned astrology, you know, that as the we have these dashas, the phases, astrologically speaking, which are ruled by specific planets. And I've noticed for many people that their favorite gods will change as the phases change.
Mm.
Even for me, I had zero connection with the goddess until my moon phase started. The moment my moon phase started, I had no clue about this. I realized it much later, but literally, you know, I shifted from one to another the moment my moon phase started. And I've seen a lot of people switch like this as well.
That makes sense because we change, we are moving.
Yeah,
We need also something different. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice journey. Yeah.
Because especially if you're like, if you are a genuine devotee, right? If you're genuinely invested in divinity, you're going to be thinking about it a lot. It's not very different from having a lover, right? You'll actually forget about the lover after a while. After 2 years you're done, you're like, okay, now I'll focus on different things. But you don't, that relationship with your god doesn't go. So this is possibly someone that you're thinking of multiple times a day. So who are you focused on? You know, what's the archetypal energy? Is it compassion? Is it, you know, surrender? Is it the
Mm.
flowing? Is it the action? Is it, you know, power and protection? What is it that you're trying to embrace and embody in yourself? And having a one-pointed focus on that energy ultimately is going to help you get there faster, get whole faster.
Mm. It seems like finding someone to model.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is Pulse. I don't know.
Pallavi.
That says, what about Krishna? And I have also a question for you. Krishna, is it an actual name? Is it a name that you use for kids?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lots of Krishnas out there, yeah.
Okay. So what I know about Krishna, talking about the gods, and that he was an avatar.
Yes.
So it's really different compared to a god. It's just an incarnation, or just in between, right, quote unquote, just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Krishna is the incarnation of Vishnu.
Okay, so we're talking
Yeah,
about Vishnu. Yeah,
yeah.
because we have those part that is kind of bluish, and the other
Yeah.
ones that is kind of
He's not
yellow.
actually blue. Krishna is not actually blue. Shiva has a blue throat.
Yeah.
His neck is actually blue, but Krishna is not blue. People are just too ashamed to acknowledge that he was dark because dark people are ugly, right? Krishna was dark. He
They
was
say,
dark skinned, but they draw him as blue because they have to make him divine in some way. He was just dark.
mm, when I was studying with a group of Hare Krishna, um, they were saying that Krishna had the color of gray clouds.
Yeah, he was dark.
Yeah, it was dark. But if you see the Bhagavad Gita, I hope I said it right this time.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Um, and you see the representation is kind of light blue.
Yeah,
Hmm?
because we cannot think of God being dark. Like, duh, dark people are ugly. How can a God be dark? He was dark. And I so wish that people would just, even our TV shows, they have fair skinned people as Krishna. Krishna is never dark, even on our TV. Whereas the truth is, he was a dark guy. I mean, all the songs are like, look at your parents, they're so fair. Look at you, you're so dark. The songs say that.
Mm.
How can you be their child? They're so fair, you're so dark. He was dark, he wasn't fair skinned.
There's an explanation of archetypes. So, at least for us, we say that the darkness it goes toward the bad stuff,
Mm.
bad things, the bad guy. Yeah, it's covered with something like it's dark. Yeah,
Yeah.
and and the white guy is the light,
Mm.
is the positive guy. So that's
Yeah.
why also they say that we don't know if it really exists or is a story, but they say that Jesus Christ, he was white. It's really strange because if you see people over there, they kind of not that
Yeah. The more this, yeah.
yeah, they kind of more dark. Yeah, maybe they're not really black as
Yeah.
African does. They
Yeah.
are, but basically it's not. It was
Yeah.
not that white.
Not blue-eyed, blonde,
Exactly.
fair skin.
And you can find in tradition also his mother, she was black. And in Jamaica, yeah, in Jamaica, they pray Black Jesus. So you
Wow.
find this situation. Obviously, then when we talk about these, someone always says, yeah, but you're kind of racist because you're talking about black and white. It's not about this,
Yeah.
it's about being honest. I mean,
Yeah.
if you born in India from Indian people, it's difficult that you have white skin like me. And if you come in Italy, it's difficult that you are really, really dark, so it's about also geography. But when we talk about archetype, sometimes we tend to do that because
Yeah.
he's a good guy, because he was positive. So that means he has to be light and not dark.
Yeah.
Okay, this is.
It's interesting because I've actually seen some very dark people with very bright auras, and then I've
Uh-huh.
seen some fair people with very dark auras. So I guess somewhere we confuse that.
Yeah, it can be, but I didn't understand Pulse what was asking about Krishna.
I think she was asking me what Krishna represents. Probably, I
Oh,
guess that was the question. Um, I don't know. I think Krishna mainly represents the manifestation of divine energy in the human form, right? And the capacity to integrate the good and the bad more effectively, because Krishna is the most manipulative one. He was the most flexible as far as making things work was concerned.
mm,
Ram was his previous incarnation, and he was too stuck on good, 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 good. He was just the good guy, and he lost out a lot in that whole process. Krishna, on the other hand, was far more functional.
mm,
So, yeah, I think uh, Krishna would probably represent your capacity to function
mm.
in real life.
I tell you this,
Yeah.
I'm kind of finishing my journey with Bhagavad Gita,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, Bhagavad. And but it would be great if we can talk also about Ishtravaka Gita.
Ashtavakra.
Ashtavakra. Yeah. And I started to read it and it was really fascinating. It was really on the point. I mean, it's so harsh, so hard. I mean, it slap you in the face immediately. Yeah, it's kind of different compared to Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
It's less story and much more. Yeah, maybe we can spend a little bit of time talking about that in the next.
Yes. Next
Mhm.
call will be Ashtavakra Gita. I love that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we
I
did a
think we're.
good session.
Why do we say in Kali Yuga Krishna is the all supreme? I don't know if we say it. I know that ISKCON says it. I don't know if Krishna is said to be the all supreme. It is, of course, like I said, he is the one that has modeled how to survive in Kali Yuga the most effectively so far. So, yes, we can say that. As much as I am aware, Bhakti Marg is said to be the most effective one for Kali Yuga. So it doesn't matter who you pray to, but Bhakti is the fastest path compared to Raj Yoga, which is the most popular these days. But compared to Raj Yoga, Gyan Yoga, for which you need a good guru, which is also rare, and Karma Yoga, which is very dicey nowadays. People are taking bribes and saying, oh, you can't survive without this much is bare needed. I've had people who take bribes left, right, and center, give long lectures about values and principles to us who are doing a far less level of this. So karma is also very messed up. The only way out for Kali Yuga is Bhakti Yoga. And of course, Krishna Bhakts will say then Krishna is the way. What they really mean is Bhakti is the way. So
When you refer to Bhakti Yoga, you refer to praying a god, doing puja,
yeah,
more
well,
than thinking or more than meditating. I mean,
yeah, uh, it's it's a combination of everything, I guess.
mm,
With the goddess, actually, the paths are still very clear. Like, if you want to engage in bhakti yoga with the goddess, there are like clear cut pathways where you have a certain set of rituals and everything that you do on a daily basis. With Ram, it's very easy. You just chant Ram, 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 Ram all day like that. Ram is the easiest actually to go forward. Um, Easiest in terms of implementation, not easiest in terms of path. He puts a lot of obstacles on your path. So there are various streams again. So like there's this another hardcore path where people actually there's a specific stone which is considered as Krishna, and you treat it like a proper living god,
mm,
and you will carry it with you wherever you go. You will feed it first before you eat and stuff like that. So it's a very, very, very strict process. You treat it as if you're actually living with the god with you.
mm.
And then people have scaled that to little idols as well. So one girl recently received a Commonwealth award or something in sports, and when she went up to take the prize, she took her Krishna along with her. you know yeah, so there are people who have this baby Krishna as well, and then they do the same thing. And I've heard amazing miracles happen. Like, I've heard stories, first-hand stories from people who had this baby Krishna and they were feeding him every day, and one day they forgot by mistake, and then other things went wrong, and then later they realize, oh my God, I forgot to feed Krishna, and then they do that, and everything falls into place. Like, it's crazy, it's pretty amazing. So Krishna is one god where I've seen things happen pretty quickly in some cases. In this Bala Krishna especially, I've seen things. And the other one is the goddess. Like, she will make sure that she is there for you.
Mm.
Other gods can be pretty, like you won't know if they're there or not. They're protecting you. You're like, are you there? Are you there? Hello, knock, knock. No sound. Unspeaking gods, basically. So yeah, I would say from that perspective, it's the goddess and Krishna, the easiest in this generation, because we are a bunch of skeptics. We don't believe in anything. We need proof. If you need proof, go to the goddess or to Krishna. One of the two will be the most effective.
You see, I believe they had a nice explanation today from you.
Yes, I hope so.
Let me be sure that I want to send my best hug for the day to Bina. Hi, Bina, my friend. And yeah, I believe we spoke a lot.
Yeah.
We had this session. Hopefully, we're gonna do it another one. And let's see, because here it start to be freezing. You see the difference between you and me? You are like, it's so hot, and here is freezing. It's snow.
I'm hot, Caruso.
I'm not,
No, no, Caruso, you're a cool dude.
I'm
You're
cool.
very,
Yeah, too
very
cool.
chill.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye, everybody.